I'm like waiting for the sound effects. I'm waiting for. I guess we might have to pre-record your whatever that's called so we can add it in.
La 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 la. I'm just kidding.
Well, I guess this is how we're starting today. We're a mess. My name is Daphny Emily.
And I'm Eerees Iris.
And we are Soulful She.
Two bodacious, beautiful women from Brockton, unraveling our truths on identity, on fashion, on mental health and empowerment.
Through conversations from the soul.
I always forget that part.
You know, and I think it was instinct to jump in and just make sure I finish that because something's always missing, and I think we both do it, so. Welcome, guys. This is episode, 14?
14, yeah.
Episode 14. Today is International Women's Day. You're not going to see it on International Women's Day, but we are going to shout it out while we're here because we are glorious women raised by glorious women coming from generations of glorious women. So, and I'm hair flipping.
When we don't have the hair yet, but.
Yeah. But yeah, we're here today, and as we always start, Iris, keep it real quick.
Keeping it real quick. Wow, how am I coming into this space? I feel very calm. I feel very relaxed. I feel very content. Today's workflow felt very smooth. Today's day felt very smooth. I just feel like a sense of just
Calm.
Yeah.
Subtleness.
Yeah.
Is that it for you?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I guess that's a good thing, good place to be. Me, I feel calm, but not in a good sense of calm. So I cut off sugar or processed sugar, refined grains, and I'm like right before the week mark, and so I'm definitely feeling the withdrawals. And my biggest pet peeve for myself is being confused. It actually makes me very mad.
What do you mean?
I don't like feeling confused.
In general?
In general.
Okay.
And I've done this no sugar thing before, and this always happens where I have phases of being confused, not understanding something I always understand, going blank, feeling foggy, but just the worst, what makes me angry of it all is just being confused.
Okay.
So I'm in the sense of like, it's cloudy up there right now.
Because of the withdrawals?
Yeah, but after the first week, it's like clear as day, and the feeling is so amazing after that, like, I just have to get through this hump. But in general, I'm in a good place. I need to fit my clothes again, so I have to do this because I can't. Spring is around the corner, summer is coming, and I'm trying to be ridiculously fabulous. I'm trying to hurt feelings without even trying, so...
Wait, what did you say? You're trying to what?
Hurt feelings without even trying. So... we have to suffer through this right now to get to the light at the end of the time. Yes. So, but I'm good. Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. I like this sense of just calmness, good, understanding that there are some bumps, but it's not changing or ruining your overall mood or self.
Now that I know what it is, because the first time I did this, I was irritated. I was, I
remember one of the...
My sarcasm is there, but around that time, the first time, it was pretty rough. So I had no idea, and then I was like, wait, you cut out sugar. Google like symptoms of like cutting out sugar, and it was just like, it was like confusion, grogginess, being irritable. And I was just like, wow. I hit everything on this list. So I decided for the rest of the week to talk less because I wasn't talking nice. But yeah, I guess now being aware of it and knowing what this is, just gotta get through it. You did it the first time, you turn into a sexy beast. So just know what's coming.
A sexy beast.
You know what's coming. So
I like this.
I sounded like my father when I said that.
A sexy beast?
Yeah. He says that.
That sounds like confidence. And that's what you're trying to do. Be ridiculously breaking.
Piece, yeah.
What is it?
Breaking what?
You said something about like
hurting feelings.
Hurting. Exactly. You need to be confident to be able to do that. I saw that little eyebrow.
But anywho, that's me keeping it real quick. Not much to say other than it is International Women's Day, and I, of course, as I always say, I love women more than anything, and Black women are definitely number one for me. So happy International Women's Day to all the Black women out there first, and to everyone else too, even the men. You're welcome, because you're here, and if it wasn't for a woman, you wouldn't be. So. And that's it for me.
Nice. I love that little. Well, transitioning from keeping it real quick is conversations from the soul. And I am excited to talk about this because I think it's important for us to talk about this, but we were thinking of talking about what it means to be a woman, and specifically a woman of color in the corporate world. But we also wanted to talk about work-life balance and what does that look like specifically for us,
if it exists.
or what do we imagine it looks like?
I can detail that out towards the end of it on what I imagine work-life balance is, but definitely not in this country. It's not what I would
thought about. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you're going first.
Oh, damn, really? So, breaking it down, let's just speak on when it comes to corporate life, what has been your experience? What have you noticed? And what are things that you have, or lessons learned that you have had when it came to working in the corporate world? And damn, you're putting me on the spotlight to go first.
So what's the first question? The first question is
what has been your experience working in corporate world and for you? And lessons learned.
Okay. So that's two questions. All right. I told you that confusion thing. You know?
Yeah.
You take step by step today.
I'll say it again.
Okay. We're gonna have to do a lot of repetition today. Okay.
But when it comes to corporate world, I will say specifically for me, I am not a corporate world person, and I don't have too much experience in the corporate world actually. So I will, when it comes to work-life balance, I'll speak more on my area of working rather than just corporate world. But I had 6 months of experience in the corporate world, and that is as far as it went. I decided to go into fundraising specifically, and in fundraising there are different realms that you can go into. I went into working through a university because I have experience working with university. I've worked at 2 different universities, and then I was transitioning to a 3rd university, but this was my first time going into fundraising and development field within a university because usually I'm working in student life or I'm working with community partnerships, which I've loved every second of it, and I've also loved working in a university. But transitioning into development, I quickly learned how corporate-y it was. And the crazy thing is that stepping into this role, I told myself, I'm going to be authentically me. I'm going to be authentically Eerees, and they are going to take me as I am. Not fully realizing what that means and not fully realizing it because I had never worked in corporate world before, so I did not also know the monster that is the corporate world. And so lessons learned, I will say that Eerees is not cut out for the corporate world. And I will say this because I don't know how open I want to be about this.
You don't gotta say where, but you can say what popped off.
But I did not have a fun experience in the corporate world because I learned how cutthroat it was. And
You learned how much people really suck.
yes.
That's when you really learn that people really do suck.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I came into a team of 120 people in the office, but my team was a team of 3. And so in my head, I think you guys have heard it before, I always say teamwork makes the dream work. And in my head, teamwork truly makes the dream work. So if you're on my team, I'm not trying to like sit on your face or like sit on your no don't take it like that. Sit on your neck, you know, like when they like, you know, stomp on your neck type of you know.
We're just gonna leave that analogy over there.
Like just the sabotage. The sabotage. When it comes to me, if teamwork truly makes the dream work, regardless of how you're stepping in to make the outcome happen, we did it together. And if it means that I'm helping a little more, that's not me saying that I'm trying to
do your job.
Yes, it's not that I'm trying to do your job. I just know that this could help us. And therefore, in helping us, we will be better as a team and with our results. And that didn't sit well with the people that I was working with. There were many times that, like, for example, I would step into a meeting with a colleague of mine who technically wasn't my boss, but he was superior in the team, because I had to speak to another supervisor. But point is, when I would have meetings with this person, I would come prepared. And Iris's come prepared is like, if we're talking about, specifically for fundraising, if we're talking about a group of people that we want to potentially cultivate, and the word cultivate is just to get them through the door to potentially ask them for money. If we're gonna talk about that during the meeting, I'm gonna do my research, which means that I'm going to sit down and like do an analogy on who our team is, break them down into like the sections that they belong in, and figure out, okay, who is the group that we should target more? How should we target them? What type of information should we be thinking about to be able to target them? And so just thinking about that, that's how I showed up to the meeting. And they would be like, oh shit, this is great. I should have done this. And the thing is, I never looked at it like, oh, I'm trying to be better than you. No, it's more of like,
I'm doing this to help all of us. So like I did the hard work to bring to all of us, so then we have all the answers now. So when we proceed,
we're doing it even better. And so it like a lot of the time I felt like the work that I was doing, they felt threatened. And when the time that I had a meeting with my supervisor and I stepped inside the office, and instead of just meeting with the supervisor, I met with the supervisor in HR, and I sat on that in that meeting and was like, oh, so we're not having a check-in, we're having another meeting. And she's like, yes. And the HR person was just like, you know, we wrote down a 4-page paper to sit down and like clarify all of the things that you are not adequately doing. And if we don't see any progress between now and then, we're gonna have to start thinking about what our next steps was. And these were things that, it was just like little things that like you saw that other people were doing and they were not being targeted that way, but they made sure to clarify it for me and were like, oh, this A, B, and C, D, E, F, G was happening. And the thing was, in the writing, so I'm a very big analyzer. So like, if you're gonna give me a piece of paper, I'm going to pay attention to the way that you speak and the words that you use. And it was very clear that my supervisor was not the one that was seeing this information. My supervisor was not the one that had the first hand on these things. It was things that she was being told, and then she was speaking on that. So it was very much like someone told you, and that person said it a certain way. And there were moments and times, like for example, there was an event that I went to where it was my first event to speak to donors, to parents specifically that were coming in. And I am a great relationship builder. But at the same time, I'm also gonna be myself. And sometimes being myself means I'm gonna say shenanigans and I'm gonna say shish kebabs, but that is who I am. And I told myself I'm gonna step in being who I am. And that has not hurt me in the past. When they got to the paragraph about that event, stepping back a little, I ended up speaking to 3 parents. And in those conversations with those parents, I remember leaving the conversation super proud because they felt assured and they felt comfortable after me speaking to them about bringing their child to this school. So I'm just like, bet, you know, I was super happy because I felt like I got through to them, or at least we had a really, really good conversation. Fast forward to the meeting with HR, they were like, yeah, she was not adequately behaving in that event. She was not using correct terminology. She said shish kebab. She was not prepared. Mind you, they said she was not prepared, nor did she look like she was suitable for the space. Mind you, when I got there, I was the only person that went to the volunteer coordinator and was like, hey, I've never been to an event like this. What are the questions that I should know about? What should we be expecting? And what are like the bathrooms and the places for us to figure this out? And she's just like, oh, great question. She gave me these answers and there were people there. After she leaves, those 2 people were like, oh, we should have asked that. We should have figured that out. We should know that. This is a good question, Eerees. And then fast forward to HR, I was the one that did not have adequate, adequate responses, nor was I prepared the right way. So in that time, my supervisor wasn't there. It was my colleague. So who was the one that told her about the things that happened during that time? It could have only been my colleague. So
that was your first case of backstabbing individual?
Basically.
Or hating ass individual?
Basically. And so that went on for like another 2 months, and I ended up writing, so they wrote a 4-page paper. So I was like, I bet I will write you a 4-page paper of everything that I am doing, everything that I have been doing since the time that I have started here till then. The day that I went to show them the paper and sat down with them, HR had already come over and was like, you know what, it's gonna be best if you quit because we don't want to have to put the paperwork for you to get fired. But that was another thing where they were basically like, they basically low-key lowballed me, because if I had to wait to get fired, they would have had to do a lot more paperwork and they would have had to compensate in ways that they didn't have to because I quit. Unfortunately, again, I did not understand the world of corporate. I did not understand what was going on. And so me just crying my eyes out because I felt that I did not belong. I felt like a failure. I felt like I was just hearing the things that they were saying. I'm just like, am I a piece of shit or something? And so literally all I can think about was just like, I'm just gonna quit, because all I heard was from them just like, you know, it's better if you do that because it's gonna be good for you in the long run. And in fact, it wasn't. Because I quit, I couldn't file for unemployment. So I wasn't able to get those benefits while I had to look for another job. And it was just like, y'all played me. But I also didn't do enough research, so I'm not taking that away. Because I didn't know.
So I sighed when you said that, because you're literally blaming yourself right now for a lot more than you need to be. And I guess that plays a lot into being women and being women of color. But continue, and then I'll talk about that later. But that plays into a lot of this.
Yeah. But I will say, I ended up, one of the things that I also wanted to do, because the office that I worked in was one office among like 7 offices that were in the whole fundraising realm. So one thing that I did during my 6 months there is that I got to know one person in every single department, so that I could fully understand, okay, how does that department work, and how can we fully take advantage of us working together. And many of the times I tried to look for the person of color. And so I got to know a few people, and I got to know a few of the colleagues in that department. And many times when I did speak to people of color, they shared experiences with me of just things that I had shared, where they were like, yes, that has happened to me. And yes, we need to tread lightly, or yes, we need to be careful the way that we behave and certain things of that nature. Like, it was basically like, yes, I assimilated. Yes, I assimilated to be able to stay here in this position. And I noticed every time that I spoke to a specific person, the way that they spoke to me versus when they spoke to Jenny or whoever it is, Becky, whatever. And so it was very much like the assimilation that needed to happen to be able to survive in this world.
Code switching
in very, very code switching was unreal. And the thing is, I have been spoiled in the way that the jobs that I have been a part of, I have been able to be me in the most authentic self, and that only helped the organization even more. And this organization was just like, nah, we don't want you like this. And if you don't switch up, and if you don't do that, if you don't abide by the rules that we have, you will be taken out. And they found any and everything to be able to take me out of that space. It was not fun. I went through a whole period of like calling myself a failure and like just belittling myself, and it wasn't fun. And I think after I left, that's when I saw, because even my mom said, she was just like, I noticed during the time that you were in there, like that job was sucking the life out of you. Like, it was sucking the life out of you, and you couldn't even see that it was doing that to you. And I was just like, in my head, I was just like, I just need to survive. I need to be able to do it. But then at the same time, I was like trying to do it my way. But it was not fun. I then transitioned to nonprofit, and I'm happy to be back in nonprofit, but I would have done it a little differently if I wanted to assimilate. But I remember very clearly telling myself, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be me.
Truly yourself.
I'm gonna be me.
Me starting into the corporate world. So I've been mostly in the medical sense of it. So medical / insurances, definitely just more focused on dental. My first official job 9 to 5 was doing like dental billing. Started that job. Interestingly enough, we all leave college. Like, they make us do group projects in college because you have to work with people when you leave college and blah, blah, blah. So then you expect to come into these spaces. Like, my expectation coming to this space is that I'm an adult now. I'm going to work with adults, so we're going to act like adults. So I walk into this space with this mentality that everyone's mature. So I go into this job, meet people. We were actually all people of color, so great. I can't lie, it was diverse. But I go into the space, and like the people I work with are like a little bit older than me, but not too far off, so we mesh well.
Yeah.
Learned big time about male egos. Learned big time about sexist people in the workplace when I started there. A lot of things that I tolerated then wouldn't happen now. and things that were said to me back then I played off.
Oof,
just because I was young and stupid and just was like, who am I, the new person, gonna do anything? So I go into this space. I think I was lucky because I had someone that was working there that like we took to each other really quick, and she calls herself my big sis now, so like we call each other sisters. And if she wasn't there, I would have literally burned to the ground.
Really?
She checked me so many times and like literally taught me the tools that I need to know as a woman in this game and as a person of color, because things I wouldn't do stupid things, like in a sense, but things that she'd be like, let me tell you why that's not going to work in your favor. Let me tell you why, like, you need to kind of move in this way.
Yeah.
So I can't lie, I did have people in my space, or a person in my space to help me. And then I also had other people that, like, you know, I remember when I first started that job, I would call my dad a lot, crying and venting about one particular person.
Jeez.
Just, they would piss me off so much. And I'm the type of person that learned from that job why receipts are important.
Yes.
But
yes.
I just had a particular person that honestly nobody liked, but was there for so long and had an ego, and that sense of, I am very analytical, and in that job it really helps out. Very analytical, very organized, and I started doing things that people that were there for years never even bothered to do. But I would like, why don't we try this? Why don't we do this? And we would actually get paid for certain things that we thought like we would never get paid for and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, now it's eyes on me. I'm the smart girl.
Yeah.
So did that help me a lot? No, because it just created enemies all of a sudden, because the people that were there for so long took it as I'm trying to be a goody two-shoes. Yeah. But the type of person that I am naturally is, if I'm in, I literally say I'm lazy, because I will spend a week on one thing just to make sure that thing, if it's a process I have to always do, that I can take time away from doing that process. So I will spend a week figuring, like, I figured out the system we had, how to use it just with a keyboard and not use a mouse. And I spent like days, like, I'm gonna learn every command on this keyboard, because I know once I learn it and I memorize the keyboard, I'll fly through it, and I did.
Yeah.
So things like that is how I am. So when I came into that space, it was like, I'm gonna kind of question, why does this work this way, or how do we do this to make things better? And I just started in that sense of having certain people not be a fan of me because of that. Then I also had management that I've also learned that if your manager sucked, forget it, the job's going to be miserable. But the management I started with was also very oblivious. I'm not trying to be a hater, but like it really is the foreshadowing, because I remember when I had my interview, I had two people in the interview, and when I left the interview, I called my dad and I was like, I honestly feel like it was like new to them. And I wasn't hating. I was just like, I felt like it went well. We actually talked well, and I just feel like they were new to it.
Yeah.
Come to find out, they were. But like, I think that played into it too. Like, I had someone that was new to that position and didn't really know how to help the team do better. And I think the people that were on the team for so long felt like they held down that role.
Okay.
That like nothing could change.
Okay.
Even though things were so bad, but it's like, this is how we do it. This is how we've always done it. So going through that and having like my sister like help me through the process of everything, me and her started doing things our own way and like leaving them over there. So we started seeing things change, but we were never the type like, I'm doing this, or it was always like the team is doing this.
Yeah.
We transitioned managers, and that manager came in and she taught us things that we were like, mind blown.
Yeah.
Like, this is how it works. And it's honestly embarrassing to think about now, because these are things we should have known.
Yeah.
Always question and push back on training. And I've actually learned and accepted now, training doesn't exist in any job. I don't think it exists. Every job I've gone to, you're like, you need to know the basics. And it's like, oh, you learn as you go. You learn as you go. Every single job. Jeez. So, and these little computer trainings are literally about cyber, whatever, to not get hacked, all these stupid things. So like, I've just accepted that you learn as you go, and I'm glad that I'm a quick learner. So that job was basically where I started learning about how, wow, maturity really doesn't come with age. It just, you have it or you don't. Egos really do exist, and even if you're doing great for a job, doesn't mean they like you or that they will like you. Because one, you're there to make them money. It's unfortunate that they have to pay you. That's literally how it is.
Damn.
You know, and that's why we get, and through that process is when we get paid, we accept certain things and don't realize on the back end we're getting played. So I've learned so I've learned through that job is the ego thing. Through years, got really good, got promoted, little drama between that, and just like focus on the people that we were cool with and really like just building upon what we have to do. We made such a dramatic change in that department. And then lo and behold comes this new guy in our department, and it's this white guy. He comes in, and this guy worked in finance, guy was smart, was laid off, and honestly, he said from the inset when he met us, his job is to build his way up back into finance, into a finance role. So it's like, cool, dude, we get you, like, do you. He comes in, and we always used to have these like meetings over the phone with like the director of that office, the dentist and whatever like that. When they would come around to ask the billing, they'd be like, I'm gonna say his name is Eric.
Okay.
Eric and billing. What are your thoughts on this? Eric and billing. How did you guys figure this out? Eric, I see that Eric's been here for a month. What you mean Eric and billing? You mean billing? Yeah. So, and honestly, I complained about it to one of the people that were like one of the management and just said, you know, and this doctor is also a Caucasian male. Maybe this is playing into it, but he needs to check himself on that because like he's literally calling out this one white male that just showed up and then the rest of us. And we're still teaching this guy. So what do you mean? Why are you asking him for? Honestly, you should be asking for Daphne at this point. Like seriously. So that's another thing I learned being in corporate is just it's a white man's country and it plays a big role into these jobs. Yeah. So that's something we learned to deal with. He finally got promoted and moved off and they had a big goodbye for him and they're gonna miss him, whatever.
Promoted, yeah. Wow.
And I actually liked him, but like it's just you got all the credit. So, and it's funny because we used to do meetings and like some of the meetings we do like fun facts about ourselves. And one of the meetings I said that like everyone in the department except one person speaks more than one language. And then that person, Eric, was like, do we want to bring like race into it? And I was like, this has nothing to do with race. This means we speak other languages. And I was like, but we're going to have a special thing about you. And he like didn't say nothing because he knew he wasn't gonna get anywhere. It wasn't intentional to like keep him out, but it was like a fun fact. Like we all speak so many different languages, and that can actually help within the department. Yeah. Also, another fun fact that Eric loves this specific band, and he's been to every one of their concerts. You know what I mean? And that was the fun fact. Oh, but it was just one of the things that it's just like, whatever. I gotta learn in this role that these are the things that kind of come into play. So through that, I've learned if a manager is honestly sucks because a lot of the management I had there, it made it such a toxic environment. It made a lot of people just unhappy. And through the way that the people have left that department, it's like you can see why. Yeah. And I've even heard comments from other people that worked in that whole organization but not in our department about how like we lose a lot of people and they know so much about our department because they hear a lot about us. And aside from that, if you look at the organization I work for, other people that of color, for the most part, worked in our department. Oh. That I remember even an IT guy came in, and he was a black man, and he came in and he was like, this is the most black people I've ever seen at work. Yeah. So it was like, oh, so that's why they call us the bottom of the barrel. Because I've heard that. We're the bottom of that place, yeah. Anywho, so worked through there. Left there, but before I left there I learned a lot. I learned that as the position I had as a lead, I was receiving the same amount of money as someone that was there 2 years less than I was and wasn't the same position as me.
Or doing the things that you were doing.
I learned that.
Sheesh.
Getting paid the exact same, and I had to push to get paid that when I got the position.
When you got the lead position?
Yeah.
Damn.
And I thought I hit a win, you know what I mean? Yeah. And when I learned that after I left, I was like, this is why I'm leaving. So I leave to another very corporate job. So this is not medical care, very corporate. And throughout I learned the sass that I have is honestly permanent. I can't code switch that out. Yeah. So at all these jobs, it comes out. I honestly have learned not to care. If you won't fire me.
So you're being your authentic self.
Yeah, in certain ways. But like the sense of like, you know how you quit? I never had that mentality. You're going to find a way to fire me, and you're going to work your ass off to make sure I get fired. And if not, I'm going to sit here until it gets done. So like in all these jobs, this sass would come out, and it's like, it's not disrespectful. I'm not attacking anyone. I'm just being real and asking questions that, you know, are to make the workplace better for all of us.
Yeah.
So the second job, I got along with the people, but it was just hard work, and it was just a lot of work, and we were just a bunch of people put into a mess to clean up. Jeez. So I worked hard at that job, but I knew I had to leave. Like, it was definitely a job that had me like, I'm gonna lose my mind if I stay here.
Damn.
And I'm tired of being yelled at for things that happened before I was here, and I'm only trying to fix things and clean things up. Mm-hmm. But they allowed me to be myself. So in meetings, I would push back on certain things, and I'd have people. It's like they allowed me at the same time. That's where sassy comes from.
Okay.
I love your sass.
Ay.
That's something that stays with me, is I've gotten that a lot. It's like, you want to call me a bitch, but you can't, so you're saying I'm sassy, but cool, whatever, Becky. But I would always speak up on those things. So from that job, I came into the position I'm in now. I do like my job. I kind of don't have to worry about anyone in my position, but I've learned at this job that I'm one of the only women of color always. Mm-hmm. I've had my hair touched multiple times, and the first time I literally they were talking to me, and I just looked straight ahead, and just as they were talking to me and I would talk back, I'd just be looking straight ahead, because I knew if I turned, I would have reacted to it. Second time, person touched my hair and then asked, wait, is it okay that I touch your hair? And I was like, well, you're already touching it.
After the fact.
Yeah, so that happened. And it's always like, but your hair is so soft. Because it don't look soft. Because it's curly, it ain't soft. So the expectation is now that because it's curly and you touch it, oh my God, it's soft. Anywho, so that would happen. The first day I started that job, someone asked me if I work there, and I'm like, I'm literally like, you need to have a badge to get here. So I didn't just decide to sneak in and then sit down and eat my lunch. Like, if I wanted to get arrested, I would have did something more complicated. So that happened like the first week, and then I actually asked someone about there, and they're like, oh, that's just how they are. I've had just people not really talk to me. I've had reviews. There's a review that we have every 6 months, and one of the questions on the review is the person approachable? And every time someone says I'm not. Now, the last time I had this review, I cried.
Really?
Because it was like during quarantine and everything. And I was talking to my boss, and it was actually not just during quarantine, but during everything that was going on.
Yeah.
You already know. So just the racial thing is just in the air. It's very prevalent, right?
Yeah.
So that comes up, and it's always something I think about. So when we talked about it, I cried, and I just literally said I absolutely despise that question. Because not only did the person say I am not approachable, but they didn't even make a comment or give a comment. But throughout the rest of the review, I'm good.
Yeah.
So it's like, what about me is making me unapproachable if everything else is okay?
Yeah.
You know, and also it's quarantine. It's been almost 6 months since you've seen me. So what's still making me unapproachable? Right? So I just told him that. And honestly, I think about that question all the time, that I think I'm going to talk to who I need to talk to have that question removed. Yeah. I'm so serious. It bothers me so freaking much, because I've had times where like a parent would call with an issue, and instead of the person that's supposed to come to me about the parent issue completely avoid me altogether, make the situation worse. Because if they just called me, I could have resolved it.
Yeah.
And you're literally sitting across from me, and you're not telling me this is happening, but I'm getting emails about this that it's happening. You're sitting in front of me. So it's like, I go to her manager, and I'm just like, am I not approachable? And I'm like, and I was straight up, I know I'm 5'9", I'm a black woman, and my natural face does not come with a smile. So I understand that this image of me, for some people, is intimidating.
Yeah.
Do I care? No. But like, I know. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm gonna ask you, so since you've known me, do I come off this way? No. What do you mean? All right, cool. You're saying no, so you're aware that you're, but still, in my review, I'm not approachable.
Yeah.
Overall, in terms of these jobs, I've just learned I don't trust nobody. I ain't friends with nobody. I'm not. We can be cool, we can get along, but there's an extent to that.
Yes, I agree.
Also, I never delete an email. I keep every receipt, and it's funny because the sassy thing, I tell my manager straight up, I keep receipts. There's been meetings where like things have come up, I was like, this is why I always keep receipts, and I look up the email. Like I told them my key word in this job is receipt. So they're very aware that I don't shy away from like, I don't care who you are. I've even said comments in the meeting, I might get fired one day, but I'm just gonna say how I feel. And they chuckle, ha ha ha, we would never fire you. I'm like, today you won't. But it's like, I'm very straightforward. I even joined like that anti-racism committee that I also left. But like in that committee, I'm honestly grateful for this job that they allowed me to be so vocal about things. I mean, so vocal that I even told them, I was taught and someone told me not to put my address on my resume, because if I put my address on my resume, there's bias against where I live, so I might not even be called because I come from a certain place. And I told them that, and they were all like, we never really thought of that. Of course you didn't, because you're all white. So they actually have decided to find a way to blind out resumes that don't even come with a name, because I even said names have bias too.
Is this something that you did?
Me? But ever since I mentioned it, you think they've said the idea I had? No, which is fine. I'm just happy it's in place. But now they're trying to blind out resumes that don't come with the name or anything, just the resume itself. And then if they want to proceed, then they'll get the rest of the information, right? So there's no bias at the initial looking at the person's experience, which I think is a win. I've called out the department in meetings about how we had anti-racism meetings, and we did breakout groups by race, like we picked affinity groups, and like there were 5 people in my group, and it was me, Cape Verdean black woman, an African American woman, 2 South Asian women, and one, how did she was Latina,
Okay.
That was our affinity group, so we were the other. The other 2 affinity groups that they had to create were all Caucasian, and I was like, 2 black people in a department of over 100 people, and then like broke it down. So like, I've just learned you learn the real world in corporate world. I feel like you learn the reality of how this world really works, and when you see what's going on in the government and how like they're bullshitting their way about a lot of things, and how it's a lot about how they're making money. You see how like half these bills, like the stimulus, how many Republicans, every Republican said no in the Senate for the new stimulus bill. Why? Like, what is it holding for you? Like, things like that, like, is not a surprise to me through the experiences I've had through these jobs, because you really just learn the greed that's in it. You learn like
the cutthroatness.
One thing I've learned is like, when I went to get into this new job, I told them how much I make, which is really how much I was, more than what I was making. But if you go into a new job, they ask you how much you make, give yourself a little extra money on top, because then if they want to match you and you're settling to be matched, you're still settling for more. That's something I've learned. So when I was going to this job, I hope they don't see this, but when I was going to this job, I mean, if they ask, I'll be like, you paying me? So I was going to this job, and I was on a phone interview, and the woman, I could tell she was black, but she was like, oh, for this position, they were actually looking to pay less than that. And I was like, are you asking me if I would go to this job for less pay? And she kind of chuckled, and she was like, I'm just gonna go to management and just tell them this is how much you make, and then if they agree, then we can proceed. I was like, oh, all right. So, and she understood, because she kind of laughed, and she was just kind of like, I know this is not, So when they came back around, all of a sudden they had the money to match what I was making.
Look at that.
And it's just like, I think even being raised by Cape Verdean parents, immigrant parents, it's kind of like, you have a job, you're lucky to have a job.
Just take what you are given.
Take what you are given. But I've learned through this that, like, if you don't ask or negotiate or show the qualifications on why you deserve this, you're always going to get the low end of the stick. Just having a job is not enough, and especially not in this country. Being in the middle class honestly does suck in this country, because being in middle class just means that you still got to pay the taxes and you're just making enough, but also being millennials with student loans and all that crap. Like, I'm still getting paid to get by. But to my mother, I'm getting paid amazing.
Yeah, because they don't look at the money. They're looking at, like, everything else in comparison.
Right. So, like, I think there's so much that I've learned through the corporate world that it's just kind of, like, hard to list off. But honestly, being a black woman in the corporate world is exactly what you hear people say on the internet. It's not stories that are, like, not common or, oh, my God, this... I can list off people that have experienced all these things.
Yeah.
I still come across people that tell me, like when the whole, like, when George Floyd passed and all that whole situation was going on, and then Breonna Taylor, and then people just being like, you know, wanting to learn so bad, and I literally had to be like, I'm not here to teach you about my life. Like, just the awe of how you guys are all shocked about it all. I just sit there and just roll my eyes the whole time. But just knowing that racism, you really see the reality of it when you start working in these places. And maybe it's us being on the East Coast or Northeast, where we live in such a liberal state full of white people in these positions. And like the population of Boston now with the white people compared to people of color, and then just see where they sit in terms of income
positions and income.
And it's just like you can see, I mean, $8 is the average for a black person in Boston, I think, in terms of income, and then for white people it's like 50 or 60 something thousand. I'm probably completely wrong, but I know
there's a big difference.
There's a huge gap. It's definitely thousands for white people, and then for black people, like in the dollars.
Digits.
And yeah, like a single digit. And it's like, but we live in liberal Massachusetts, and then you go to these jobs and you realize, like, there's racism everywhere. If you don't fight for what you need or what you want, you ain't gonna get it. And maybe I'm lucky and I've been put in jobs that allow me to be very outspoken, but honestly, you gotta fight for you.
Yeah.
And never let them win on you. And that's why I feel bad that you felt like you had to quit. But maybe it was best for your mental health, because sometimes also with being in corporate and being in these positions, your mind is definitely a lot more important than these jobs.
Yeah.
You know, and if it gets to the point that it's just like, you know what, I'm not going to fight it because I need to be happy, then that's what we got to do. So I ain't mad at you. I feel for you, because people suck in these jobs. But overall, corporate world is definitely not for me either. And I think maybe that's a millennial thing, because I feel like everyone we're around just doesn't want the same thing.
Yeah.
And how our parents and these people are still going at these jobs for 40 years. I cannot be at this job for 40 years. I don't need to live that long if this is what my life's going to be. And genuinely, I don't need to live that long if my job's going to be working this way the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I cannot just fathom retiring at 63 and having a big celebration and working at this job that long or in this kind of field. So corporate world, if I rate it out of 10, it's a strong 2, and it's only a 2 because it's paying my bills. But I think it's because of how this country has shaped capitalism for us in many ways that working these jobs it's and not intended for us to be happy. It's intended for them to make money. So
exactly. And I will say, like, specifically with corporate, like you said, like, you know, everybody's there for themselves, and understanding that, like, you as a, like, you understanding your qualities as a worker. Like, I remember we did Strength Quest in college to, like, understand what our strengths were. And so understanding your strengths and how you thrive in a company, like, I'm not cut out for corporate.
I never took that test, and I can tell you, or I don't remember.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what my strengths are, but the only thing is ain't nobody playing me out here, so but I'm still getting played, because I'm still sitting at this job getting this money and still barely paying my bills. So who's really winning? But overall, I think this, as like any topic we talk about, there's so many like realms that go into it, and I feel like just being a woman at these jobs, or being a woman of color at these jobs, I've learned very much to have thick skin. I ain't got friends, but I got receipts. Those are my friends.
I definitely wish I remembered that before, because had I had receipts, I would have been okay.
Yeah, and it's through mistakes and things that have happened that I've learned to have receipts that now, it's the best feeling when you have to pull one out from like, it's like 2021, you have to pull one out from like 2018 on January 15, 2018. I remember you clearly said that this, and this works this way. And that's exactly what I've been doing since 2018. So when did this change? And if it changed, why was I not informed? And since it changed and this is now when I'm being informed from here on out, this is how it's going to be done. But can you also email me to break down how this is going to work from here on out? Because that's my next receipt. God, I don't play with none of these people.
As you shouldn't, though. As you shouldn't.
And no, that's it for me. I don't play with nobody. I get along with people though. I have fun. We have conversations. You know, we be cool. We kiki. We be kikiing. And you know, I can't hate on my job. It's just I can't do this for the next 40. How old am I? I can't do this for the next whatever years.
So then, when it comes to stepping away from corporate life, but also just work in general, you said that you can't be doing this for the rest of your life.
I'm not going to be.
You also mentioned how you don't understand how your parents are still doing the things that they're doing and in there for so long. How can we weave in some work-life balance and just thinking about, okay, you know, this is the strategy that I have for myself right now to stay sane, to continue to stay sane in the space that I'm in.
If I had the ultimate answer, I would not be in the space that I'm in currently. But things that I think about a lot that are definitely very important is I do depend on this income, but finding ways to work that I can get income elsewhere or saving in a certain way, because these people do this for so long to get that retirement. And honestly, by the time we retire, is there even going to be you know what I mean? Is there going to be money for us in retirement? Because the way things are working, you know. Just literally financial literacy and learning ways to actually kind of set us up to be better off by that point. Mm-hmm. Am I doing that completely? Absolutely not. Is it something I know I should be doing? Absolutely. But
you know it. I think that's a very important step. You understand the importance of...
If you know better, you should be doing better. But I'll be getting to the doing better eventually. But I know better, right? I guess. But I think work-life balance. My ultimate goal is to have my own business. To be making money off of that relies on something that I love. So maybe my creativity, maybe it's in fashion, something that I enjoy, mm-hmm. that I can make into a business that I will be compensated in that sense. You know, money is going to be coming in because of that. Mm-hmm. And from that, it's not going to be easy. And I don't care about it being easy. It's going to take work, but my ultimate goal is just having something like that's built up, kind of a little bit of an enterprise income that's coming in, that like I'm enjoying this work. I'm enjoying and I'm happy in this work, that it doesn't feel like work when I'm working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if I want to take a vacation, I'm CEO. Y'all figure it out. Y'all figure it out. I'll be away. Unless this place is burning down, don't call me. You know, like, I guess for me, I just don't know the answers. I just know what I want and what I want to work towards.
Okay.
I guess now work-life balance is I work 7 days a week.
7 days a week in this corporate life?
I mean, I work 5 days a week in the corporate job.
Okay.
And then I work 2 days retail.
Okay.
But I'm working 7 days a week.
Okay.
So I'm working 7 days a week.
Jeez.
So I work 7 days a week, but I've just work on still getting my sleep, still getting my fun, still trying to travel, and the Soulful She. And really putting in more and more work into Soulful She and learning to actually give more. And I think that it's getting there and working on it. It's something that I think we both have, It's hard working so much and still having to do this, but this is one of our passion projects, right? It's one of our passions that, again, it's work, but you enjoy it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess at least having something else outside of these jobs gives you something to look forward to.
Okay.
And honestly, take time off work. You don't need to be collecting all these vacation days because you ain't gonna use them all if they book up that way. Just use it. They will be okay. They will be okay, because if you die tomorrow, they're going to have a job posting up next week for you. So they will be okay if you need to take a few days off work. they honestly don't give a damn about you, really. So just take your vacation time. They pay. That's money that you're losing. Vacation time is literally money. You're getting paid to not be there.
Yeah.
So use it. And if you're sick, call out. That's it. Like, don't sit here and work so hard for them, because, like, work hard, yes, if you want to work hard, great. Work your best, but just don't overdo yourself for people that don't give a damn about you. And I know so many people that don't take off vacation days because they think they're needed so badly, or they're guilted into it. And it's just like, nah, they put money in that bank for a reason.
Yeah.
You earned that vacation time. Take your time off. Get away. Even if it's to sit at home and do nothing. Because I do that sometimes. Sit at home and do nothing.
I will say this is the first time that I recently am going to be going on vacation, and I realized that the day that I leave for vacation happens to be the day that we have an event. And literally, this was the first time in my life that I felt comfortable enough to say, I'm still taking this vacation and they will be okay. Like, not in a selfish way, but just more.
There's nothing selfish about using vacation time.
and it's very much like, because before I definitely felt like, oh, you know, if I'm not there, then, you know, the tasks that I needed to get done won't get done. And it's just like, there are multiple people in that organization. One day that you are not there, the world will not go into pieces. There will not be a fire that will ruin and create an apocalypse.
And if there is one, it is what it is.
It had nothing to do with you. It had nothing to do with you. So yes, and yes.
Yeah, same. Like, you can't feel guilty for those things. And I've learned, since I started working any of these jobs, I've never worked on my birthday. And that's something I've kept for myself. I don't believe in working for my birthday. You want to cut me a cake? I leave on this day. So if you want to give me a cake, you can give me a cake on this day. Or when I come back, you can give me my cake. But in the meantime, I'm not going to be here. I have not worked on my birthday since I started working after college. And I refuse to. Yeah. That's my birthday. Why would I want to spend my birthday here with y'all? No offense, but kind of. Like, why would I want to spend my time working here? Like... And why do you want to spend your time here on your birthday? It's not even me trying to offend anybody that works there, but like, it's your birthday. Go celebrate. Not I'm going to dinner after work. No. Breakfast, brunch, lunch, whatever's between lunch and dinner. I'm drunk at noon. It's my birthday. Like, I don't know. I guess I put a lot of weight on my birthday in terms of that, but that's something I've set aside for myself, that like I take like a week off because I work so hard. This is my time to celebrate my life.
And you deserve it.
It still boggles me that people work on their birthday. Like, you got vacation time, you over here, and girl, you can look away all you want. That's one time, that's like the excuse, you know what I mean? Like, we got Valentine's Day, so today's the day we're going out to dinner with our loves and doing all these things. Yeah. My birthday, I'm celebrating my life. I've been here so long. You know, life's already hard and we're trying to make the best of it. And you want me at work?
And you want me. But that's a beautiful, like, work-life balance. Just, you know, like, that's a rule that you have, that's a boundary that you've created, that you're like, this is me. I'm not allowing or changing the way that I'm going to be moving, regardless of what position I'm in. Right. So
the day I work on my birthday, everybody's gonna be miserable. Sheesh. So that's why I don't work on my birthday. People just need to take care of themselves, and I think that's a way for me to be like, it's my birthday, I don't even need an excuse, but like, just do other things than be here.
I think that for me, I learned the hard way about work-life balance, and one thing that I'm working on right now with this position is that, like, I understand how people say, you know, if you love the work that you're doing, like, you'll be enthralled in it 24/7 and you'll go above and beyond and maybe even work extra hours and things of that nature.
Are you getting paid for it?
That's the thing. So
that didn't answer my question.
No. And so I learned the hard way through a job that I was a part of, which I loved. I loved every second and every little detail that I was doing. But I was giving so much of my energy that I was not only just working those 5 days a week, but I was giving them so much more hours and so much more things. And I was burning myself out because, like, I lived, breathed, and spoke that. And everything that was going on. And so I didn't separate between Iris and the job. Iris became the job. And so that turned into like, okay, you need me to come on Saturday to prep for Monday. I'm gonna come on Saturday and like spend the afternoon prepping for a thing that was gonna happen on Monday. So like I was giving so much of my time, and at the same time I wasn't paying attention to my body either. So I was not paying attention to my body in the sense of like when something was happening to me, it was because of stress or because of something that I wasn't paying attention to. So it turned like the quote of like, don't allow a simple cold to turn into an illness because you're not paying attention to it, was like very, very big, because I ended up getting really, really sick, like really, really sick. And it like the doctors were like, it's stress. And it's just like the stress that I was pouring onto myself, but I wasn't paying attention to my body. And so my body shut me down and was just like, calm the fuck down, because like you are doing too much and you're stressed and you're burning yourself out.
And you ain't being paid for it.
And
you ain't even being paid for it, and you're giving yourself medical bills for something you ain't even being paid for.
Exactly. And so specifically with this position, I'm being very like boundaries are very big for me right now in this position, and I'm very much like, you know, the like just with the simple fact of like social media, like I am a marketing person, a communications person in this role, and so I work on their social media and I work on their marketing, and I'm very, very, very big on that boundary of like whatever happens in that job stays in that job. The social media Iris will not be involved in no way, shape, or form with that job. So do not ask me to publicize things on my social media. Do not ask me to, you know, get involved and do things to promote that, because I'm keeping them very separate, and I'm holding on to that boundary because of the way that I did not in those other positions. And so like work-life balance for me is making that boundary of like once 4 o'clock hits, like it is no longer that work day. Like I am stepping away completely. I am not working on it, because anything will be able to get done the next day. And honestly, I've also been really listening to my body and really paying attention to like not feeling so guilty, because knowing me, like if I told this person or this colleague that I was gonna get this done at 4 o'clock, but with everything else that happened, I was not able to get it done, like I would feel guilty and like work a little more to get it done, to at least give it to her by that day. And it's just like, the world is not going to end if you closed your computer at 4 o'clock and then continue to work at the time that you are working. And majority of the time, like that I've listened to my body and told myself like, Iris, the world will not end, the life will continue. The next day something will happen in such a like beautiful way of the universe working, that like me taking that pause was necessary. And the universe like reassured it to me that like, girl, calm down. You know, calm down, because that was the right decision to make. And so I've been when it comes to work-life balance, boundaries are very, very big. I'm still fully working on it, but I've at least gotten better than what I've done before, if that makes sense. And then also realizing who I am. Like when it came to corporate, I found out that like I need to be working in a space where people are encouraging, where we are a team, where we are helping each other, where we are not in competition. And I've learned that very, very, very strongly, where it's just like work culture is huge. Mm-hmm. Work culture is very, very huge for me. And I've learned that when it comes to work-life balance as well, because in finding a good work culture, I feel much more comfortable being able to not just be myself, but be able to speak up when I need to, with boundaries and things of that nature. So when it comes to work-life balance, it's still something I'm working on, but I found little tidbits of things to like really remind myself of not forcing it.
Yeah.
And then also and also reminding my team, because like one of the big things that like I had to remind myself, but also the team, is just like, you know, we are humans. Like I feel like I have to like step back and remind everyone, like, we are humans. Like I know that we're here to do this work, but at the end of the day, we are humans. And just the same way that, you know, we start off with Soulful She of like keeping it real quick, I try to do the same thing at work, where it's just like, let's keep it real. Let's like acknowledge what's going on so that we can work better as a team now that we know what's happening between all of us. But yeah.
I've told my mother this before, but your body, if you don't stop for your body will force you to stop.
Yes.
So that's something I say and I believe in, and I guess I don't have much left to say about work. I work, I do my job, and I do it, I think, pretty well.
Yeah.
And I get rave reviews, other than I'm not approachable, but you know, honestly, sometimes I don't want to be approached. So overall, this ain't the goal, this ain't the end goal, so.
Yeah, this is just a step.
But I'm not miserable.
Me neither.
But you know, I always keep it real with them. They're never perfect for me. They be like, and people be so gung-ho about that job. I be like, y'all alright. I ain't gonna gas you though. Make you think you're giving me, not only are you paying me, but you're giving me an amazing job. Nah, we cool, we working, we cool. But you ain't all glorious, so.
Okay.
And they get that vibe from me all the time. My manager stays laughing at me. I say things and he just stays laughing, and I just be like,
hey, you're getting the real me.
I be doing my job though, right?
You can't say anything about that, because that's the thing, you're giving results.
That's all I got for them. You still cut my check. For now.
Well then, this has been an interesting conversation, and I would like to say that with stepping into you, I'm always just gonna say that regardless of where you are, be your authentic self. And if you can't be your authentic self, then you don't belong there, because they don't belong. They don't deserve your worth and the value that you bring to that company. And that is all I'm going to say into stepping into you.
And I'll add to that, you know, sometimes you got to fake it until you make it, but just make sure you're faking it so you're making it to your goals and what you want to do, and it's not to please somebody else. Again, you can't be pleasing these jobs, because they're honestly, it's unfortunate for them that they have to cut you that check. And that's how I always put in the back of my mind. They are not happy to cut you this check. As hard as you can work for them, this is not a pleasure for them. They're cutting you this check because it's the law. And for what the work you got to do, there's a number system that goes with that, and they got to pay you this. And even many times you're still lowballed. So if you got to fake it until you make it, make sure you're doing it for yourself and have that balance. And you know, sometimes it really is hard to be yourself in some spaces, because they really set you up, like the experience you have. They really set it up against you, and sometimes those reality checks do happen. And honestly, I believe in karma, and whoever needs to get theirs will get theirs, and what's for you will come for you. So
yes, the wheel of fortune is always paying attention.
Fuck whoever was trying to mess with Eerees. Talking about 4 pages. You had time. All that time you could have been working and being like Eerees, but you were spending too much time writing down notes in 4 pages to get Eerees in trouble. So maybe you need to look at yourself and where you're putting all that effort. Thank you.
I wish you were my colleague.
I'd be like, wow, they had time. What were they doing during work?
But with that being said, I know that usually I do have a lot to say for stepping into you, but I think I felt more of affirmations when it came to stepping into you. Continue to affirm yourself, continue to find ways of affirming yourself, and thinking of mantras to help you when it comes to work, because that's something very huge that has helped me to step into me.
Step into you.
Yes. And so, with that being said,
moving forward to fashion forward, did I prep something for fashion forward? Yes. I'm gonna play it off like I did. Honestly, the way my mind has been fuzzy and I've just been confused. I literally was sitting there trying to do research and I was like, I am not here for this. But instead of skipping over fashion forward, because we are not doing that during season 2 whatsoever, we're gonna talk about Soulful She and our merch. You're gonna have to model some. You don't have to put it on, but you gotta like hold it, show it off. So I guess we've had merch for a while now, and like we post it here and there on social media, but it's like, girl, don't ruin your hair right now. Okay, it's cute though. But like we've had merch and like we put it on social media, and we've had amazing people support us. So shout out to everyone that's bought something from our merch, because it's really. We're charging, of course, we're trying to make money, but this money is going to things for Soulful She. And like, I think as Black creators and Black content creators, a lot of things that we have to learn as we go is that like our content is ours and we need to do things to support ourselves. So there's things that we have to pay for to kind of help continue on Soulful She and make it bigger and better. And on top of that, we don't make ugly things, so why not spend money on beauty, right? So we got definitely crew necks, hoodies, we got the hats in many colors, and it's on our website now, soulfulshepod.com, so it's so easy to buy. And honestly, fashion forward is just about like, thank you for those who have supported us and has been supporting us, and like we have this merch out there, and with time we're going to create more and do more and be more creative. I mean, we even got the mugs on the website if you're really trying to have some good tea. But anywho, it's really more of a major shout out for those who have supported us, those who have just even shared it. Honestly, we don't need to tell you and beg you to buy the stuff. Like, it's just, I'm grateful that you even care to want to look forward to it. And like, we upgraded our website and put everything there, and just hope that everyone just check it out, see what we're doing. We're working on doing bigger and better things, and it's just really kind of, I know it's fun for me. Is it fun for you to work on the merch?
Yeah,
I get excited. You should see like our like drafts of stuff. I've made some ugly things, but it's so much fun.
So once they leave the draft and come into the section of like the view for the public,
I don't make ugly things, but I've made things that like I'm not ready to put out there yet. You got to be in a certain mindset for the things I've made. You have to have certain tastes, and my taste is kind of elite at times, so for the elites. But yeah, overall, just fashion forward is a major thank you, and shop Soulful She Pod. It's on our website. I made it all easy and mad fly. Like, I go on the website just to look at it sometimes. I have the camo dad hat, and I said I don't wear hats because I have a round face, but I was looking pretty cute when I had it on, so just have to make sure I wore some earrings or something. And then stepping from our merch, and thank y'all for supporting and those who will support. Go ahead, Iris.
What is resonating with?
I'm over here talking about Bees by Choking, and you going to resonating with She, but I guess we can make it. No, but this is resonating though.
Yes,
so
that's what I'm. Yes,
okay,
yes,
go ahead.
yes. No, go.
You started.
What is resonating with She?
I guess what's resonating with me is, we collab with Bees by Choking, and he's, Zara's our homie, and we've been working together. He made some special pieces specific for us, and we had to show it off because they mad flying, like we always say. Like, we always want to show it off, and it's definitely been fun working with Bees by Choking, and it's very much resonating because I feel like I'm glowing, and it's not.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I'm not saying I enhance anything at all, but I'm saying that like the pieces are so beautiful. It just made me feel so like.
Yeah. While she was taking them out,
I'm over here like.
While she was taking them out and then putting it on herself, and then like just seeing the brown and
to
then
like do this thing,
and then her makeup,
posture, and everything, it made me sit up straight.
And let's just acknowledge the fact that Beads by Troken specifically curated these pieces for us tonight, and was very mindful of who we are as individuals and how it will allow us to come out through the beautiful jewelry that he crafted for us.
Yes.
And so
that's resonating right now. I have something else that's resonating with me, but for now, This is number 1 because we're gonna be on a happy, positive note.
Yes. And then right here, Czar, he had specifically spoken to both of us and was like, okay, what are you feeling? Talk to me about, the style that you like and the things of that nature. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, I like rings. Rings are my thing. I know you don't make rings, but I'm just, throwing that out there. I was not expecting him to make any rings whatsoever. I was just throwing there to it was like let me throw that out there in the hopes that maybe in 2 years he might create something and be like, I remember Eerees likes rings, so let me make sure that, that turns into something, into fruition. And he made it happen. And these are gorgeous. When I tell you, these are gorgeous. When I saw that, I think I got more excited for just that, and then I was just like, oh, the rest of the stuff, yeah, okay.
The ring came out, and I was like, they're beautiful.
And then this new piece right here, again, I remember having the conversation with Zara, and I told him, he was just like, what do you want? And I was just like, I'm trusting you because you do one-of-a-kind pieces and you do things that I'm not used to, but I would always be willing to step outside of that comfort zone to be able to rock his jewelry, because I know that anything that he's gonna make is gonna make us look fly. And it's gonna...
I mean, I've been glowing this whole time, and I'm not saying it's just me,
So
I feel like the glow's extra right now.
Resonating with She is definitely the intention that went behind and the curation that was done so beautifully by our sponsor, Beads by Troken, with today's episode.
Today's glam.
Yeah.
And as much as I don't want to step away talking about how great we look, because it's one of my favorite things to do is talk about myself. I guess I'm talking about what's resonating with me. What's resonating with me is I watched some of United States versus Billie Holiday.
Ooh.
And I only watched some because I was just mad throughout the whole movie. And it's resonating with me because of the anger I had and how, honestly, I didn't finish it. So does it have a happy ending? Honestly, I Googled how old she was when she passed. Mm-hmm. She was like 46, 40, 40,
that was
40.
So young.
She was so young. So honestly, it's a tragic tale throughout, and how this country really honestly spent their time trying to put her down and the struggles she's had since she was young. And watch it. Andra Day, I've always loved her voice. She's an amazing singer, but seeing her in this role, I was like chills. She won a Golden Globe and she deserved it.
Every second of that.
Oh my God, I watched that movie and as soon as it starts, you're mad, but it's just amazing. It's a great movie. Y'all should watch it. Definitely resonated because of just a lot happens in it, and yeah, girl, that's it for me.
Well, this is really what was resonating with me, because I feel like I was even looking at my ring as the...
You have a mirror over there, and half the time I was like...
But thank you guys again for supporting us and coming all the way this far to listening to us. So the fact that you've made it all the way over here, we appreciate it. And if this is the first episode that you've ever watched, welcome. And if this isn't the first episode that you've watched, thank you for your continued support. And just the same way that Daphne said, thank you for supporting us in ways that I'm still surprised and shocked of the beautiful ways that people have shown us that they've purchased our merch, that they've seen our episode, that they're supporting us in one way, shape, or form. We thank you, because we value your time, your energy, and everything else that you have been putting towards any aspect of Soulful She. So thank you.
And also, we never say this, but we should be saying this because I feel like it's the proper thing to do. But follow us on all our socials. So I can't even say it. That's how bad this is. But follow us on all our socials. It's Soulful She Pod, literally Instagram, Twitter, soulfulshepod.com. We even on Facebook, even though we really got to put
content on there.
We
We're
will
gonna
do
get
that.
there.
Yes, but Soulful She Pod, anywhere. Google us. Easy. Google us and you find all the links to make it easy for y'all. Or just go to our website. We have everything there. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts. So, and YouTube. Hello. We're filming, aren't we? And YouTube. So just like us there, follow us there. And again, thank you all for the support, you know?
You guys are amazing.
Just hometown girls just trying to do something really special, I guess. But as always, I am Daphne Emily.
I am Eerees Iris.
And we are Soulful She.
And as always, he can listen, they can listen, but she is speaking.
And we might be one more drop in the ocean, but we just might be that last sip to quench your thirst.